all these years in coming up to the coast, I would say I just want to go out and get a decent sandwich. Where can I get a decent sandwich? What are we going to have for lunch? And I know, especially in the last 4 to 5 years, the coast has improved a lot, and there's definitely been inroads and improvements in what is available. But still, I don't think anybody on the coast is doing what we're doing.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. There have been many new openings during the last year, and from afar, opening a food offering during a pandemic looks like a crazy thing to do. But we've seen real successes from people with nothing to lose, some rolling the dice on a dream and taking the risks they may not have had in normal days. There have been some that have yearned to be in the hospitality sector and through a series of events felt it's now or never. Litsa Ward is the owner of Lunch Bar in Woy Woy, New South Wales. Litsa, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Huck, how are you today?
I'm good. You chose a time during a pandemic to dive into the hospitality sector. What was that like?
It was a big call, to be honest. But out of desperation, I guess, you kind of do crazy things, and you find this inner drive to want to move on and get on with your life. And I guess a passion for finding decent food on the coast was, I guess, the major calling point. And, that kind of we got the ball rolling in about May, to be honest, after being made, redundant because of COVID.
Before we analyse that sort of situation that you were in and the dive that you took into hospitality, how long had you been thinking about the possibility of doing something in hospitality?
To be honest, in the last couple of years, I hadn't thought about it at all. I guess it was a thought maybe about a decade ago, or
wow,
yeah. Before our kids came along, we've got 2 teenagers. They're like 15 and almost 14 at the moment, and I'd always wanted to open up my own business, even in Sydney. But I guess a lot of the time, women sometimes take a bit of a back step and let the major breadwinner in the family be the hubby. And I kind of, thought I'd be a mum for a while and focus on that, and just had part-time jobs. But I had a very similar dream to the shop we've opened, even before being married. So it was a long time ago. I just thought I'd focus on my career and earn some serious money myself for the better part of the last 20 years.
Well, this isn't the first time you've worked in the food sector, but take us back to when you were young. What sort of role did food play in your family?
Okay. I come from a Greek family. My parents migrated to Australia and met and married here. So I guess Greek food and multicultural food was always in abundance, whether at friends' homes or, going out with a whole array of different colleagues, etc. Very, very Greek upbringing. Lamb on the spit for every Greek Easter and Christmas, family gatherings, and I had a stint for quite a few years part-time working at Montefiore Jewish Home in Hunters Hill, and I used to serve all the elderly their meals on a Saturday and a Sunday afternoon for a couple of hours, which was really interesting and a real eye-opener, to be honest, and understanding the whole Jewish community and what happened in the war. So that was, I guess, my first major role, just working with food. And then I worked in a butcher shop up at Ivan's Butchery at Top Ryde. I think Ivan's is still around, doing wholesaling, aren't they, at the moment? In a bakery. My family, all my uncles in Greece, my mum's brothers, my dad's first cousins, they're all bakers and pastry chefs. So anytime we went overseas, there was always, this love of bread and just really, really good food. So, yeah.
You mentioned you had thoughts of opening a cafe like you have a long time ago. What were the experiences that you have that inspired that? Were there any sort of cafe experiences that you'd had that had triggered the sort of thoughts of your own place?
Yeah. I grew up in the inner west. I grew up in Gladesville, but Balmain and Annandale, Leichhardt, all those sort of suburbs in Sydney. There were cafes aplenty. There's heaps of them. But I guess having worked in Balmain for a good part of a decade, I found real. I used to love going to Batoni and having a chat to Albert and the boys there, and we just used to talk food, and we Albert and I actually had a shared kind of interest talking about payments platforms as well, because we had started a payments platform company at the time. And so we used to just, I used to love just going there and checking out the vibe and go, this is so cool. They've done such a great job. I wish I could do this one day. And I just used to love going there. I love their food. I love Italian food. My sister lives in Italy, and I've been lucky enough to be able to visit Italy and Rome about 5 times, pre-kids and once with kids. I guess Batoni was probably my favourite, from an experience point of view, and the whole customer service and just the whole vibe and people hanging out there. That's the sort of vibe I dreamt that I could possibly have or create one day.
With all those trips to Italy, what sort of impacts and experiences did you have there, and what impact did it have on you in regards to your views on food?
I think the major thing is just the simplicity of the food, and it doesn't have to be a medley of ingredients to make a good panini or a sandwich or pasta or any kind of meal, like just keeping it basic. And I guess freshness, like, things are not packaged up. That, and that's a big focus on what we're doing is we make everything to order. You won't walk into our shop at the lunch bar and get something pre-made. It'll be made for you there and then. We have a couple of items on display on occasion, but most of the time it's made to order. So in Italy, just everything is so wholesome and fresh, and the produce is quite amazing. So I guess, just my views always, I guess I'd taken on the less is more approach.
You left Sydney and moved to the Central Coast. What triggered the tree change for you?
It was something that we'd thought of doing in retirement, but not really, at our age. It was accelerated by, I guess, a series of events in a business that we had in Sydney, and to keep it in simple terms, for legal reasons, I've just got to say we didn't see eye to eye on where the direction of the business was going with another party, and we decided to part ways. And in parting ways, we had to reassess what we were going to do, where we were going to be employed, what paths, where our children were going to go to school, and we were priced out of living in Sydney. So having had a holiday house on the coast up here in Yamina for the last 15, 16 years or so, that we were visiting, the shack out the back, not the house. The house is rented out, but visiting the shack, we'd always come up the coast and said, it'd be great to move here one day, and we thought, well, it's a now or never moment, and our son was about to go into year 7, and we thought we better do it now, otherwise we won't. And we moved up to the coast.
You mentioned that the cafe was triggered by a loss of employment at the beginning of the pandemic. What were you doing and what happened?
I was working at Glenworth Valley at the most people know it as the horse riding centre at Pete's Ridge. They actually have this beautiful, magnificent multi-million-dollar events building in the valley, and I secured a job being their events manager. And I guess I was pretty much selling events, corporate events and weddings for the valley to come and have functions in the valley. And that entailed also deciding on menus and what have you for all of the parties. And then I guess it was like, a multiple series of events. They were really affected by the bushfires the previous year at the end of 2019. And then some floods came through, which wasn't fun. And then all of a sudden COVID struck, and every corporate was just cancelling events left, right and centre. So I unfortunately lost my job, and I was very, very sad about it, to be honest, because I enjoy working and we had to work. We've got a family to support, kids at school, and that was in the March, and it took me a few months to snap out of it. You could probably say I was a little bit depressed about the whole thing, but I took some advice from a counsellor and we had a bit of a chat, and I snapped out of it. And by May, I started writing my business plan for a sandwich shop or a takeaway food shop, and found a location, a great location. And the minute we walked in, I said to my husband, this is it. This is the one. I can feel it. So it was the old bakery in Woy Woy in a really, really prominent position on Blackwall Road, and it had been a bakery for 25 years. So off we went, used some COVID cash, drew on our superannuation and built a shop from our super.
What did it feel like after going through the trauma of losing your job in a pandemic and rolling the dice with superannuation and stuff like that? What did it feel like building this business for the first time?
I actually found it a really big adrenaline rush. My husband was very supportive. I think because he had faith in knowing what I could do. But it was a really big adrenaline rush. But just seeing how we renovated the whole store and what we've done there, I could just feel it. I don't know. It was just a sixth sense. I was nervous. I think the few nights before opening, I don't know what I was running on, but I was running on something. But it was, it was exciting. I wasn't frightened by it. I was nervous, but I wasn't scared or, shitting bricks, as they would say. So,
what surprised you about running a cafe?
How hard it is. It's hard work. It's really hard work, but by the same token, it's really, really rewarding when customers are coming into the store, especially, the first 6 months, every single day, customers would come into the store and say, oh, wow, look, oh, is this the old bakery? Oh, my goodness, it looks so different, and everybody telling us that, our coffee's amazing, the food's great. It's so rewarding, and it's still, a year down the track, customers are still coming in, locals who may, for whatever reason, may not have come into Woy Woy and seen the shop, are still surprised and said, oh, when did you open? So that was my old fuddy-duddy voice, because a lot of our customers, the previous bakery customers, were old fuddy-duddies.
This episode is proudly supported by OpenTable.
Nearly 1/3 of diners are booking same day. So they're making those decisions on the spot. And 10% are making their bookings within just a few hours. And so it's why it's so important to have booking software like OpenTable, which allows your diners to discover you. And so when restaurants are on platforms like OpenTable, they're much more likely to be discovered. We help diners to connect to restaurants. Ultimately, having technology, using technology, helps you to reattach to those diners.
Experience the power of OpenTable. For an exclusive offer, visit restaurant.opentable.com.au/DITW. Tell us about the offering that you've created there. It's called Lunch Bar, but what are some of the dishes? Can you tell us about them to give us an idea of what you're doing?
Sure. So we're a takeaway offering for breakfast and lunch. It's your standard fare for breakfast, like bacon and egg rolls, a few, kind of different, more enticing sandwiches and wraps with Greek influence. The lunch menu is, I guess I was yearning all these years in coming up to the coast. I would say, I just want to go out and get a decent sandwich. Where can I get a decent sandwich? What are we going to have for lunch? And I know, especially in the last 4 to 5 years, the coast has improved a lot, and there is a lot more on offer. And there's definitely been inroads and improvements in what is available. But still, I don't think anybody on the coast is doing what we're doing. I've always loved a Reuben sandwich. We have a killer Reuben. We have a King Schnitty wrap. We make our schnitzel in-house. I don't buy pre-made schnitzel. We, support the local butcher across the road. He bangs out the chicken for me, and we season it and put our secret little bits and pieces into it, and we have real chicken schnitzel. There's a sandwich called the Greek bird, which everybody loves, and I guess the Greek bird is me. So drawn on inspiration from, Zeus Greek street food, I guess. So because there's no souvlaki pita gyros shops up here. So and again, there's a lamb souvlaki pita and there's a Greek souvlaki pita, and I've called them Mykonos and Santorini, and the names were derived from a conversation I had with the first customer that ate the lamb one, and she goes, "Oh, you've taken me back to Mykonos." I said, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That's exactly what I wanted you to feel." And I went home. I said to my husband, "Oh, so funny, the lamb souvlaki today, this customer said that she felt like I took her back to Mykonos." He goes, "That's what you should call it." I said, "Great idea." So we have the Mykonos is the lamb and the Santorini is the chicken, and there's a few other items there. We do lots of treats. Every Wednesday I started making spanakopita, and for the first 3 months no one would buy it because they didn't really know what it was, and I had to say, "Hi, I've made my spanakopita today. Would you like to try a piece?" Anyway, and now we make it religiously every Wednesday. We make a big, big tray, and customers come in and ask for it. So we're just trying to educate the Woy Woy and the peninsula on what real good Greek food is about. And we also I do my own galactobouriko. Do you know what that is? It's a semolina custard with phyllo, honey syrup and phyllo pastry. And, so just very, very Greek influence. We bake a few different cakes every week, and, Yeah, so it's like coming into, just a little corner store, but it's got treats, awesome coffee we get from CG Roasters in Sydney. The blend is the Adore Mustro blend, and we do play killer tunes all day. People love the music. One day I thought COVID was driving me mad, so I think I put up a story and said I'm dancing COVID away, and there was a bit of a snip of me dancing outside the shop that people found amusing and thought they'd comment on. So trying to find the light in the COVID madness, I guess.
You mentioned that you saw a gap in the market for great sandwiches and a great sort of takeaway offering in Woy Woy. What makes a great sandwich?
Definitely fresh produce and great sauces, secret sauce. The secret sauce. It's all in the secret sauce. So we have a herb mayo that we make. We also make the Russian dressing for the Reuben, and we also make the tzatziki. And I've drawn on a few little secrets. One of them was George Columbaris' secret, because I watched a lot of MasterChef. I think I watched way too much MasterChef. And really good sauces, fresh produce, and keeping it simple.
What's it like in Woy Woy from a food sense? Are there some good offerings around that you've become part of?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a store called Young Barons, which I don't know if you know of. They started off as a specialty pasta restaurant, and they too had to adapt through the pandemic and decided that they weren't going to be a restaurant anymore, and they've turned themselves into a general food store. They're 75 metres down the street from us. They do amazing pasta and, more like an upmarket deli. And they do a great job. And there's Link and Pin, but they've kind of changed their vibe a little bit. They're heading down the music scene path. But pretty much on that main strip, there is not much. My closest competitor is a Michelle's Patisserie, and I kind of don't really call that competition.
You've been open a year now. What's it been like trading through a pandemic with your first store? Has there been some challenges?
I guess I think just the uncertainty of what's next, or when are we going to be locked up, what's going on. But again, really lucky in the sense that until this lockdown in June, end of June, early July, we honestly did not feel the impact at all because we were takeaway. The only thing that happened is that in this round of lockdown, we weren't allowed to have any patrons sit outside because we have a whole courtyard that we're allowed access to, and there's a beautiful palm tree in the courtyard, and, we put the umbrellas up and everybody just gets to hang out and listen to some cool tunes. And I think the biggest impact has been that so we also got our liquor license, so we are licensed, and we would host Friday night sessions with acoustic music and entertainment, and serve cocktails and have a bit of a happy hour every Friday afternoon. And we haven't been able to do that, which is a bit disappointing. So we've certainly had to adapt, and I guess in this round the best thing that's happened is I decided to put us on Menulog, and that's been amazing. So, yeah, Menulogs, I just, it got turned on in the morning and all of a sudden these orders started spitting out. It was freaky. It was like, do people really order breakfast on Menulog? Unbelievable. Yeah, so.
There's a Greek element to what you're doing. Have you had good support from the local Greek community?
There's not that many Greeks up here, to be honest, still. there's the occasional customer that comes in, and if they're Greek background and they see the galaktoboureko, which all my Aussie friends, by the way, have mastered the art of repeating or pronouncing, I should say. So a lady came into the shop the other day and she said, "Oh, you don't have galaktoboureko today?" And I said, "Oh, no, I don't. Look, I might make it and I'll let you know if I do." So I found some time that day to make it. So I SMS'd her and said, "Hi, Jamie, the galaktobouriko's ready if you want to come and buy some." And she walked in, she said, "But I want the whole tray." I said, "Oh, okay, sure." So, they creep in every now and again, the Greeks, mostly from Sydney, to be honest. They, when it opens back up again, I'm sure they'll be coming back. Holiday makers with holiday houses. So, yeah, but generally there's not too many Greeks in Woy Woy or on the peninsula.
You've had your own business for a year, and it's what's it like? What do you love about what you're doing?
I love seeing the growth, I guess. I'm we're financially driven people. We love seeing the dollars coming through. But equally as important, I would say, those happy, smiling customers coming in and just giving us great feedback about the food and the coffee. The coffee was really, really important. I just can't tell you how important it is. And, when we're at home and not at the shop, we do go down the street. There's other places we buy coffee from. There's only a couple that we really like. And then on the odd occasion, if I have to swing by the shop for whatever reason, if I'm not there and I grab a coffee myself, just really good coffee is so important. It's so important. The feedback on our coffee is awesome. And, even like menu log reviews straight up, almost 6 out of 6 stars in a month's worth of menu log. So I very, very rewarding on people telling us how we've gentrified Woy Woy, and it, this little nook doesn't look like Redfern anymore. We had, there's still a lot of homeless people living or, in Woy Woy and kind of hanging out. And what the other really beautiful thing about the community is that there's so many amazing customers, and the community spirit is great because a lot of customers are paying it forward. They'll come in and say, "Oh, see that homeless man over there? I really want to buy him a coffee or something to eat." And, and it happens all the time, which is, it's really a beautiful thing. So, and it's great. I mean, the banks, we've done deals with a few banks where they've come in and said, "Oh, we'd like to offer our customers a free coffee," and, we'd like, they've chosen our shop. We've done a few different things like that. So still very new. We haven't even touched the sides.
With the success of the last year, even with the pandemic, do you have any sort of future plans for expansion?
Yeah, we do. We're looking at expanding. We're currently only open till 3 p.m. Monday to Friday, except when we have the drinks on the Friday night, where we open till late. We're currently working on having a dinner offering for menu log pickup. And I guess the ultimate future plan is to be able to just, be equipped well enough with staff to be able to open the shop even, till 8 or 9 o'clock every night. But, we need many more Litsas at the moment. And I need to find a few more Litsas.
Well, Litsa, we've loved having you on Deep in the Weeds to hear your story. And no doubt there'll be much more to it soon as well. Please keep in touch and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.